Hello, I'm in Liverpool city centre. Surprise, surprise, this lovely Sunday morning. But the screenshot at the front just about sums up the measure of those ruling over us. Muppets. Well, not literally, but you get the point. And the only reason people keep voting these people back in power is because there's no credible alternative. Once there's a credible alternative, the game's over for them. But you ask yourself is, why can't they deliver? What seems to be the problem? Well, I'll tell you, I'll give you an analogy if this is right. I think it is. Let's call the nation the ship of state. Let's call the captain. Let's call the prime minister the captain. Let's call the cabinet the navigator. Now, the captain is given false charts or wrong charts, say, by the navigator sailing through stormy waters. He's going to crash onto the rocks, isn't he? Well, of course he is, right? That's what happens. So the captain, the prime minister, to steer the ship of state through stormy waters, the nation, he relies on the navigator. That's the cabinet underneath the prime minister, let's say. And like I've said, if the navigator doesn't provide the correct charts, then the ship can crash onto the rocks. And that's basically sums it up as to what's happening. The captain, the prime minister, is being given false charts, wrong charts by the navigator, the cabinet, and he's steering the ship of state, the nation, onto the rocks. So you say, well, why are the navigator's charts wrong or false or not correct, Joe? Well, because what's happening, all Western governments are following the philosophy, ideology of liberalism, unlimited equality, unlimited freedom, impossible equality, self-hate, guilt, putting everyone else first by their own nation, their own country. And because of this disastrous philosophy, ideology, that's why the navigator's charts are always wrong and always will be. I hope I articulated that as best I could. I hope that gets my message across as to why we keep crashing onto the rocks, and until someone credible comes about, we're going to keep crashing. But I believe that time's coming rather sooner than later. Okay, thank you. Hello, I'd like to further add to the previous video. I'll give you an example of the damage liberalism's done to the West and Britain in particular. Healthy cycles people used to go through. You'd get married, bring your kids up, your kids would get married, they'd have kids, you bring your grandchildren up, then you'd die. That healthy cycle has been interrupted, right, by liberalism. Young women aren't having the amount of children they used to have at one time. That healthy cycle has been interrupted by liberalism, with disastrous consequences for themselves as well as the country and its future. So liberalism pushes hedonism, self-indulgence, selfish individualism, unlimited freedom, but it's at a cost, it's at a price, right? You don't just live this life without some sort of, you have to pay for it. And that what's happened is the nuclear family is what's paid for it. That's been destroyed because of liberalism. Also, liberalism has removed the barriers that were once in place that maintained decency, respect and common sense itself. We see it when we walk around now, selfish individualism, people dressed in the ridiculous outfits, and you can't have selfish individualism and unlimited freedom. You just can't. You have to have some sort of order. So there, some of the disastrous consequences of liberalism. I hope I made that clear. People understood what I'm trying to get across here. Okay, thank you. And on a final note, liberalism works in conjunction with capitalism. Liberalism sells you the madness. Capitalism makes millions of pounds from it. Okay, thank you. Hello, I'm in the wonderful Walton Park again. I thought I need to elaborate a little bit more regarding liberalism and why each successive government is disastrous because they're following liberalism, right? Let me put it this way. Liberalism believes in mass immigration into Britain, which is leaving the country with a massive financial bill. Liberalism believes in taking the authority away from the police, leaving us with a massive crime bill. Liberalism, in the form of hedonism, self-indulgence, selfish individualism, and so on, has destroyed the nuclear family, which in turn has caused more juvenile crime and kids going into care at an unprecedented rate, which again has left the country with a massive financial bill. So all the Liberals are doing is scoring own goals while trying to balance the books, and you can't do it. So that's why the navigator's charts will always be incorrect. They won't be accurate. That's the word, accurate. The charts won't be accurate because liberalism by default, as I've said, is all about self-guilt, and it's about weakness. It's about putting other people first before your own people. It's about believing in that the more freedom and equality you give people, the more society is going to be a better place, when in fact the complete opposite is actually the case, isn't it? Of course it is. So by default, liberalism can't work, and that's why all these governments fail one after the other, because they're following the philosophy, the ideology of liberalism. Like I've said, all liberalism seems to do is score own goals against its own people and country. So these liberals that are ruling over us, whether it's Labour or Conservative, all they are doing is scoring own goals, which is leaving the country with a massive financial bill while trying to balance the books. It can't be done. I hope that makes what I was saying a little bit more clearer. You see, in the city centre, I really shouldn't be doing videos that need attention to detail. Okay, thank you.